Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. The COVID-19 pandemic is obviously raising questions about staying healthy. Some of the health concerns center around food safety, such as what are the best practices to follow when you make that essential trip to the grocery store. To answer some of your questions, we called on UVM Extension's top food safety specialist, who spoke with our Omar Oyarzabal.
This virus that we are facing is not transmitted by food. So any food that has been properly processed and manufactured will be safe.
We have a few questions from our viewers. One of them is, do we need to wash items like cans or packaged products once we get home?
In this case, we are thinking maybe about the contamination of the cans of packaged products, but it's extremely low. The opportunity is there that is as somebody that is asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic still shedding the virus may contaminate those products. But remember that those viruses don't live too long in the environment. A good practice to keep in mind is to wear gloves, disposable gloves, when you are going to the grocery stores, and make sure you dispose those gloves properly, and then when you arrive home you wash hands properly also.
Okay, another question from one of our viewers is, are the plastic bags from the store safe to handle, or is paper a better option than plastic?
Again, here the probabilities of the virus being on bags is very low. However, you can use your own bags that you bring to the store, bags that have been in your house. We don't know precise times of duration or survival of the virus in paper or plastic. We don't know how long they can be active, but we do know that in some surfaces that are more porous, there is more chances for the virus to stay longer.
And another question that one of our viewers submitted is, what steps are grocery stores taking in order to safeguard their employees?
There are many different ones. First of all, they're all making employees aware of what are the protocols to follow if there is somebody that start developing symptoms. Some states have a little bit different protocols than others, but most of the grocery stores that I am aware of are very, very keen in training employees on that. They also ask the employees to maintain that physical distance that we have been talking about 6-7 feet. They also ask them to increase their hygiene practices, especially washing hands. In some cases, they use some masks and even some, protection for eyes. Remember that this virus come into contact and infect us mainly through the eyes and nose. So they're trying to use this mask mainly to make, employees aware that they shouldn't be touching their faces without, cleaning hands or touching their faces with gloves that may be contaminated.
Okay, and that also begs the question of, what should we be doing as consumers when we have to make that essential trip to the grocery store in order to protect ourselves and to protect the employees?
Right. So basically, we're assuming that you're going in your car, everything is fine there. The moment you are going into the grocery stores or if you start touching other surfaces, you could wear gloves, again, disposable gloves that you're gonna dispose of properly. You're gonna try to make sure you keep distance, a physical distance with people. You also, if you can find a mask and you want to wear, the mask will make you aware of not touching your faces. And then when you come back home, the best advice is to wash hands properly. We're talking about washing hands for, about 20 seconds. That is the whole period of washing your hands properly.
Okay, and now I understand that in order to keep our places safe, we should dispose of our gloves before entering the car, correct?
Yeah, the idea is that you can have like a bag that you bring or disposable bag where you put those gloves and eventually you change gloves to come back home and then you dispose everything in that bag in trash, in the regular trash.
Anything else that you would like to add, Dr. Oyarzabal?
No, thank you very much for the opportunity to have a conversation with you.
Thank you. And I understand that you're coming back tomorrow to talk to us more about food safety.
Correct, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you both. One key thing to underscore is that coronavirus disease is not transmitted by food. So any food that is properly processed and manufactured will be safe. Tomorrow's discussion will address questions regarding prepared foods and takeout. Spring is the season of renewal. Everything is waking up, and on farms around the state, lambs are being born. Longtime viewers may remember UVM Extension livestock specialist Chet Parsons. Chet is now retired, but he and his wife are still tending the flock at their farm in Richford.
We're at the Parsons Farm in Richford, Vermont. I'm Chet Parsons with my wife Kate. We've been raising sheep here for probably the last 30 years or so. We're supposed to be retired, but during lambing we're probably working harder than we've ever worked.
How many lambs on the ground this year, Chet?
We've got just about 80. Just about 80, yeah. They started lambing about St. Patrick's Day, and we got the majority of them lambed in the first 2.5 weeks or so. Of course, that's when it turned super cold, which is, I guess, that's farming. That's the way it works. So it was a little trying this year, but you know, you hope to have nice, easy weather. It makes it a lot easier to deal with. One day, I think we had 5 sets of twins and a set of triplets.
Is that common?
Well, it usually happens once or twice during lambing when it all happens. But, you know, with 80 lambs, you've got to get more than one a day. Between my wife and I, we spend quite a lot of time in the barn when they're lambing. You know, you've got to make sure. And I've been raising sheep that are pretty good mothers, so you know, we don't have to do that much as a rule, but you do have to take care of them. When you get up here and you find lambs, we put them in a lambing pen, you know, so give them a few days to get attached to each other, you know, so we can watch them and make sure they're doing okay, and then they get turned out with the rest. Sometimes you get some that don't have enough milk and you have to supplement the milk. That's usually true with triplets. Usually the mother doesn't have enough milk to feed all 3, and sometimes you get an older ewe that's put all of her energy into having 2 beautiful lambs, but she doesn't have enough milk to feed them, so you have to supplement the milk. It's just part of the game.
Are they rambunctious?
Sometimes they form a lamb pack and tear around the barn here and kick up their heels and have a great time, yeah. But other times they're just happy to just lay and sleep and, you know, eat and sleep. The singles that really grow fast, you know, they'll be ready for market in probably 5 months or so. The majority will be more like 6 or 7. And then there'll be some stragglers that'll drag later than that, but yeah. But our plan is to get them up and going in good shape before grass gets here. And then when grass gets here, because they're pretty much totally grass-fed and grass-finished. I don't feed any grain. I do feed some alfalfa pellets. Right now the lambs can get in the creep and get alfalfa pellets if they want. And when the mothers are in the lambing pens, they get a little extra in the form of alfalfa pellets, but I don't feed any grain. Well, if you think you're going to get rich doing it, don't do it, because it's a challenge. But and another thing, there aren't good markets available, so you pretty much have to develop your own markets, which we've done over the years. And that's always a challenge. Most farmers like the idea of raising animals. They don't like the idea of selling their product. So sometimes that's been a challenge, but we've been at it long enough, so we do pretty well.
Great to see all those new arrivals. With spring upon us, we close today's program with a look back at the melting ice of late winter through the camera lens of Across the Fence's Keith Silva. Thanks for joining us across the fence. Enjoy and be safe.